Medical workers in China are stepping up their efforts to stop the rapid rise of coronavirus infections spreading countrywide. Since Wednesday, more than 3,500 new cases have been officially confirmed in China, taking the total count to 28,000, including a newborn baby. Hubei province, where the virus was first detected, remains in lockdown. In provinces reporting the highest rates of infection, supplies are being delivered by all forms of transport. In Japan, this cruise ship is in quarantine after 20 passengers were confirmed to have the virus. They're in hospital receiving treatment. The rest of the passengers are confined to the ship.
There are 4 people who are Japanese nationals. Of the others, 2 are from the United States, 2 from Canada, 1 from New Zealand, and 1 from Taiwan.
In Hong Kong, more than 3,600 people on the World Dreams cruise ship have been put into quarantine after passengers on the previous voyage tested positive for the virus. The ship's medical team is carrying out mandatory temperature checks on passengers. All cruise ships will be banned from docking in Hong Kong from Saturday as the government declares further restrictions on arrivals. Taiwan is also banning cruise ships in a bid to stop the virus spreading. Hong Kong has partially closed its borders with mainland China. The bridge linking Hong Kong with Macau and Zhuhai remains open. So is Hong Kong Airport, one of the busiest in Asia. From Saturday, all travellers crossing from the mainland to the city will be quarantined for 14 days. Indonesia has announced it too will stop all arrivals from China. The World Health Organization is sending 250,000 testing kits to affected countries to try to curb the outbreak. But a shortage of protective gear for doctors and nurses, as well as medical supplies, is stifling efforts to treat those already infected and stop the global spread of the coronavirus. Sarah Clarke, Al Jazeera, Hong Kong.
Well, Adrian Brown is across all the developments. He's joining us from Hong Kong, and it appears that there is no sign of coronavirus slowing down despite the quarantine measures that have been put in place in China.
Yes, it's fair to say, Doreen, that China really remains on a war footing against this invisible enemy. We saw dramatic pictures on social media, unverified pictures, showing streets being sprayed with disinfectant and also other public areas being fumigated. The narrative, though, on state-controlled television is this: China is winning this battle and will continue to win the battle. I think that window we had several weeks ago when the media was being very questioning in its coverage of what was taking place has now changed. I think the government wants to focus on the positive and less on the negative. The news that China may well have to postpone its annual session of Parliament, the National People's Congress, in early March is a further reminder, I guess, of just how severe the authorities are now treating this. But certainly the impression you get from Wuhan today is that hospitals remain swamped. There is an acute shortage of beds. And remember, just a few days ago, the Chinese government conceded that it needed the international community to help it in terms of sending more supplies, more face masks, and in particular, protective medical gear for workers.
And what about the quarantine vessel in the harbour in Hong Kong where you are? What's the latest on that, and how are people there coping?
Well, the enforced holiday for the 1,800 or so passengers on board that vessel looks like it will continue for at least, another 2 weeks. They are going to remain in quarantine as officials from Hong Kong's Centre for Disease Prevention continue doing mandatory checks on everyone on board. Now, we did have some good news today concerning the boat. 3 crew members who were admitted to hospital feeling unwell on Wednesday have been given the all clear. They don't have the virus. But the authorities are not taking any chances. They are continuing to screen everybody on that boat. And remember that before we realised that several people had been infected, we know that from a previous voyage when there was an infection, several hundred people got off the boat in Hong Kong just over 10 days ago. and the authorities are still looking for those people. As Sarah mentioned in her report, there's been another blow for Hong Kong today, with Taiwan announcing that it's going to place severe travel restrictions on people leaving Hong Kong for Taiwan. Basically, Taiwan's not going to issue any more visas to people from Hong Kong or indeed to any foreigners living here. It's all helping to increase the sense of isolation, I think, that people here in China and in Hong Kong are starting to feel.
All right, Adrian Brown, thank you for bringing us that update from Hong Kong.